Hello, this is Professor Jack. This is Chapter 7. Chapter 7 isn't the social class. Social class is a form of stratification. Therefore, Chapter 7 and Chapter 8 relate directly. One is the precursor of the other, and the social class. Then the Chapter 7 should come after Chapter 8. But we have to go ahead and follow the way of the author. So we'll go ahead and do Chapter 7. But I cannot just cover Chapter 7 without giving you a brief introduction of what stratification is. So we have the slide on stratification, and if you're to be using it as a verb to stratify would be what? To control, perhaps to control resources. It's a way government controls citizens in terms of economics, in terms of finance, in terms of the way people would or would not experience social mobility, etc. Right? So stratification, I actually have a question for you, and how can I truly be free in a stratified society? How would you truly be free in a stratified society? First of all, you have to go ahead and understand what kind of stratification you're subjected by. Is it a form of slavery that we're talking about? Is it a form of caste, the estate system, or the social class system? Freedom to be what my achieved status is allowing me without restrictions is my actual definition of freedom. So you go ahead and study the different types of stratification that exist in the world. Slavery, which has been abolished in the United States, caste, estate, which is a form of ancient social class system, and nevertheless we'll go ahead and say social class as being the most benevolent and open system when it comes to stratification. Yeah, because the means of production are available for citizens, right? We have social classes in the rich and the poor, and whenever you have an open system like this, a social class system, the means of production are available for everyone that can achieve them. They're not a guaranteed, though. They're not guaranteed for the poor. You'll have to go ahead and earn your way up. Anyways, the reason I'm laughing so sarcastically is because in the United States we have a type of social class system known as the social class ladder, and for the poor, thanks to different stages of socialism, the poor have benefited greatly into attaining the American dream via a free education, right? Form of socialism, right? So anyways, at any rate, it's important to go ahead and characterize each of the different. We have about two types of social class systems. I actually call one the pyramid model, and then the other one would be the the social class ladder, right? And in each of these forms, you'll go ahead and perceive that there are certain restrictions and there are certain advantages. Starting with the pyramid system, I like to refer to it as the Marxist system. That's just me, right? The pyramid system has only about 3 models. Can you experience social mobility in a system like that? What about the other system, the social class ladder, the stairs? Can you experience social mobility given that it has so many classes? My answer is yeah. I'll go ahead and go for number 2. Why? Because it has so many more classes. It's like going upstairs. You have a lot more options, right? And social mobility is more attainable, more available, right? And it is more available thanks to the benevolent types of socialism that we have in the United States, like free education, probably be one. You have different ways that government extracts the money from those that pay taxes to go ahead and help and support those that are poor, the underclass, the low working, the working poor, the low class, etc. Right? So you have these types of social class, and from the two, the most open is the social class ladder, which is the one that operates in the United States. And so then, of course, you have the slide on Max versus Weber, and the ideology of each is different. Max Weber talks about the rich and the poor, and that's it, right? If you perceive if you perceive the world in that way, it's okay. But then you have those people that talk about the elements that Weber discusses as opportunities, right? As different elements and boosters to go ahead and experience, social mobility. Oh, by the way, what is social mobility? I have a slide for you that tells you what social mobility is. And I analyze social mobility in terms of, upward progress or downward, which is a drawback in the social class ladder. So, like, say your parent. Well, I'm gonna have a slide there that explains everything. But say you can go and experience this within your own lifetime. Say you work very hard, right? And thanks to your hard work, you become from being poor or low class and living in the projects, okay, to actually one day being a middle class, a professor like myself, or I don't know, a teacher, a lawyer, maybe perhaps a judge. Who knows, right? We have affirmative action, which is, I guess, another form of socialism, I would say, right? And so you have all these opportunities for the poor. You have chances to experience progress, and that would be known as social mobility. We also have intragenerational mobility. Intragenerational occurs between parent and child, like in the case of my parents. They were both born in Mexico, and I was born in the United States, thank God. And so, like, they were poor. My mother was a Mexican maid. I'm not embarrassed to say that. Why should I? No way. I come from poor people, and so I experienced social mobility right away. Thank God, right? I mean, so this is this would be considered upward mobility within one and another generation, and of course through hard work, which is something that I'll go ahead and be proud of. Yeah, victory dance, I guess. But yeah, I mean, this is what we're talking about when we talk about social mobility, and we have to go ahead and thank the middle class of this social class ladder that is humongous. I actually did the slides for you guys to go ahead and study them further. But in spite of all this, social mobility and greatness, the greatness of the United States, and how great it is, and through education the poor can one day achieve the American dream. I came to one conclusion, and I want to go ahead and spell it out. All right, tell you, I'd like to surprise you, but here's what I discovered, thanks to my many years of education and studying and lecturing and so on. I discovered that life is wrong. Yeah, it is wrong. I mean, why? Because it's not fair. It's quite unequal, right? I mean, even after you experience social mobility, you have some people that that gather more than others. A lot of it has to do with their own sweat, so to speak. But many times, due to discrimination and so on, other people are not given the fair chances, like employment, for example, or whatever. I mean, you guys are at the junior college level, and maybe most of you are like under the age of 25 or 26. But one day when you go to the workforce, you're gonna have to struggle very hard. I mean, I struggle very hard, okay, just to make a living. And I have a man. Okay, well, in the bottom line, okay, here's what we're saying: life is wrong. And in order to have rich people, you have to have poor people. It's just the way it works. Don't matter the social class system. Don't matter the kind of economic system. Capitalism, socialism, communism. Wherever you have poor, you have rich. That's it. Nope, I didn't invent that, okay? I'm not God, okay? But that's just the way it is. It's a setup where you have rich and you have poor. Wherever you live, regardless. You call it communism. And in communism, you have everyone poor or living modest lives. And they have the government that seizes and controls everything. They're the rich people then. They're the elite of that given society. I see it that way. Marx was an extremist that saw everything in black and white, or red or white. Okay, I see it the same way. When it comes to stratification, you have rich and you have poor, and life is wrong, and there's so many inequalities, and it's not fair. And what do you want me to say? I'm not going to tell you that the world is what is it? A great place to live, and it's the a Garden of Eden, because it's not. It's not fair, and I don't know if some of you probably have experienced this unfairness already in your lives. So that you have people that hate the poor, and they develop myths about the poor. And I have the slide for you. That the poor are lazy, and that they blame the victim by saying that it's because of their laziness or inability to how do you say, inability to compete with others. That's the reason why they are the way they are. They're so limited, so they're unfair to the poor, and many times in how they perceive and what they say about the poor. So you have inequality, and most, if not all the time, the poor is the poor population is the one that is discriminated the most, right? Yeah, they're the poor, right? So then you have capitalism, you have communism. People always preferred capitalism. People always preferred capitalism over communism. Why? Because people wanted more. Look at Cubans. I mean, why would they come to the United States if they have it so great in Cuba? Why? Well, I tell you why. Because they want more. Because they want a house. They want a car. They want to go ahead and have a checking account. They want to go ahead and eat pork and beef for the first time in their lives. Can you believe that? Yeah, that's what it is. And by the way, let me go ahead and tell you just something. Let me go ahead and ask you a question. Why is it that a lot more Cubans come come to Miami, that that any given American would go and live permanently in Cuba. So you have a lot more coming from that country than our own nationals going to that country. Why is that? How about Mexico? Same thing. Mexicans come to this country more than the Americans would go to Mexico to live there permanently. Why would that be? I tell you why. Why? Because America is a great place. Because we have freedom. Because we have social mobility. Because it's a fantastic place to live. I wouldn't change it for the world, by the way. So yeah, that was just a little bit. I wanted to tell you about how I feel about it. Okay. And people vote with their feet. They vote by action. They don't just vote by words. And their actions speak a lot more than what they have to say. They live in the United States. They actually speak negatively about the United States, but they're here and they wouldn't go nowhere else. Okay, study the slides. Okay, do me that favor. And social mobility is the great equalizer. And then I have the theoretical perspectives and what the functionalists say when it comes to stratification, and what the conflict theorists say about when it comes to stratification. Remember that the functionalists are the realists. They understand that the stratification has a function. The conflict theorists, they're all the time about idealism, about making it fair. They have this struggle within themselves about what's not fair, what's unequal. We understand that regardless of how much social change you want to introduce to make it fair, you'll never have it fair 100%. You never do with communism or bringing in authoritarian dictatorship to try to control what people lead and what people do just to make it fair. No, people wouldn't be happy. Bottom line, let me just get to the bottom line. Life is wrong. I'm telling you, you're going to discover this by yourself. Life is not fair at all. Then we have another set of perspectives. The second analysis towards the end that I have is the theoretical perspectives is on social inequality. And it pretty much goes the same way as the first set of the first analysis that I gave you on the theoretical perspectives on stratification. Goes the same way with social inequality. Pretty much the same idea. One, the functionalists would go ahead and say that it's needed, and then the conflict theorists would say that it's not fair. I mean, we hear this all the time. So conflict theorists. This is why sometimes, or many times, I refer to conflict theory as conspiracy theory. It's just conspiracy. Of course, it's not fair. Of course, it's not right. And we could always try to go ahead and bring social change. But at the end of the day, you either gonna have rich or you're gonna have poor, right? And in the United States, we have a middle class, and the middle class is the one that protects the poor. Well, let me first give you my analysis, and this is my analysis regarding the social class system, in particular the social class ladder. And so let me go ahead and read it. You guys can go ahead and read it on your own later. The characteristics of the social class ladder as opposed to the pyramid model allow me to make my final observations. Watch. Number one, it is a fact that if a social class system possesses a strong middle class, for social mobility via an education to be an attainable option by the citizen. Number two, most individuals may attain property and prestige, but few actually attain the power element. Few people, like Oprah Winfrey, perhaps, and if you have a lot of money to, rent a policymaker, perhaps. I mean, you're not George Soros, right? You're not a multi-billionaire or Gates or any one of those people. Huh? Yeah, okay, so number three, a strong middle class system is catalyst for democracy. It serves as cushion, protection, to prevent the almighty high class overstepping on the poor. So that's one of the characteristics of our American middle class, that they're poor people as well in many ways, and they come from poverty as well, and they know what poverty is, and this is why they wouldn't let the high class overstepping on the poor. So they serve as cushion. And thank God we have 44% about 44% in the United States, which is less but nearly 50% of the entire population that are middle class members. And as it's fading. Okay, so you have a paper regarding that. I want you to go ahead and do research. If you don't have any, you don't have to go ahead and do it via APA. All you have to do is just go ahead and respond 2 parts. The first and second part. Listen, this is Professor Jack. It was a pleasure. The stratification chapter will come. The stratification lecture will come next. Thank you very much. Adios. Bye-bye.